Yes. Great. Thank you so much, Blair. And yeah,
Okay.
so let me see here. All right. So let me see where are we? Okay. Um, Blair, can we start the interview?
Yeah, let's do it.
Wonderful. Thank you. So, Blair, can you briefly introduce yourself and your role in Joe's project?
Yeah, so I'm Blaire. I'm an interior designer. I've had about 12 years experience in residential interior design. Previously working with project home builders and then into custom home builders. And now as an independent interior designer that subcontracts to, builders and custom builders. And my role within Joe's project is as his interior designer.
Wonderful. How cool is that? So, Joe, like Clay, what motivated you to join Joe on this China wine trip?
Just the fact that his home, the home that he and Liz are building, is just unbelievable. It's such a beautiful, beautiful home. But also, as a designer, the opportunity to get to go and select all of these things in China and get to go directly to the source, directly to the manufacturer, and just to have that opportunity is massive for an interior designer because we don't often get those opportunities to do that.
What an opportunity. So, what were your initial thoughts visiting factory with ChinaDirect Sourcing?
To start off, completely overwhelmed. So, for the first couple of days, especially, I guess going in and not really being sure what to expect. So, I wasn't expecting the scale of everything. Everything is huge. The level of choice and customization is huge. It is so much more than what we are able to do at home in Australia. So the ability to go over there and choose anything at first was extremely overwhelming. But then realizing that we had Charmaine and we knew that we had the backing of China Direct and that we were going to reputable suppliers, we could vouch for the quality. They were able to show us samples of work that they had already completed was just huge. It made things so much easier. And then after the first couple of days and realizing that that was what was going on, I no longer felt overwhelmed and I was just amazed and excited the whole time.
Wonderful. Were there any like a standout material or products? How might you use them?
The absolute standouts for me were the window frames. So seeing how easy it was to be able to fully customize everything, to go through the glazing options, the type of glazing, the kind of fly screens, and make that work in so seamlessly with our architectural plans. And then also seeing how the cost came in at a third of the price of what we had quoted in Sydney. And then the same thing with the garage door to be able to get a fully custom made aluminium garage door that again would have cost probably three times as much in Sydney based on the quotes that we had got. Getting the price of that in and realizing we were going to get exactly what we want. And then also seeing how professional everybody that we were dealing with was, and also getting tours of the factories and seeing the level of detail, how everything is finished by hand was just completely eye-opening and so impressive.
Wonderful. So, how did the China Direct Sourcing facilitate the trip? Any surprise?
No surprises at all. Everything was really, really easily laid out. So before we left, we were given a full itinerary of every single day. So we knew what supplier we were going to be at. There was a morning, afternoon, and a late afternoon session. So we were able to kind of plan our day around that. All of the transport was organized for us. We kind of did it so that all the suppliers we went to see were within the same areas. So we weren't having huge amounts of travel throughout each day. But then also having China Direct, like I said before, vouching for all of the suppliers that we went to. It was people that we know were going to be good quality with good quality products. And they had a track record of that quality behind them as well.
So, like, were there any challenges? How were they resolved?
So a couple of the challenges that we faced were, I guess a really big one that I think a lot of people would be worried about was the language barrier. Um, Even though English is pretty, widely spoken, being able to kind of have those conversations very easily sometimes was a little bit difficult. So having Charmaine and a member of the China Direct team there with us all the time just made things so much easier in terms of making sure that we were able to communicate clearly and concisely. So what we wanted was getting quoted. And then the other really big challenge that we faced was the 10-hour days, which we were not prepared for. So by like the second day, and we realized that we weren't always going to get to have lunch, we just had to remember to make sure we packed snacks.
Yeah, yeah. So how does like sourcing from China benefit your creative process? You know, you are the first ever interior designer in our China buying trip.
I still find that insane. I really just think more interior designers, if they're ever given this opportunity, should do it because going over to China, like, so Australia is very famously, we're like 18 months to 2 years behind the curve in terms of creativity and design with the entire rest of the world. We are so slow and we're also really boring. We like gray, we like simple, we like clean, we like neutral. Whereas I'm really passionate about a design that has heaps of personality, that really showcases, the really beautiful features of a home and really brings in the owner's personalities and creates like it's the main character in the movie that's your life, right? It's the backdrop for everything. So going over there as an interior designer and seeing what is trending overseas was a massive eye opener. I feel like I now have an edge over a lot of my peers that are interior designers because I've gone over there and not just seen things, on social media through TikTok or Instagram or whatever about what's trending. I've actually seen it. I've seen it in the showrooms. I've seen how the applications for it work in a residential and a commercial setting. Honestly, like interior designers should go, like more interior designers should go.
Do you give any advice for designers hesitant about the China sourcing?
Yeah, I know exactly why you would be hesitant to go because I was a little bit hesitant and I was a little bit nervous about it because we always hear here in Australia, you've got to be careful if you're buying it from China, the quality may be a little bit dodgy, but that was absolutely not the case at all. As I said already, we've got people at China Direct backing us. So we know who to go to, we know who's reputable, we know that the people we're going to are going to be good quality. It's worth going over there because as interior designers, we do so much more than just make things look pretty. So much of what we do is structural, and so much of what we do, like you can't build a house without what we do. And being able to go over there and understand how it's made and how it's worked and how what we select directly affects what's going to happen on site and what's going to happen for XYZ in terms of engineering, in terms of thermal efficiency and thermal ratings and basics and NAVAs and all that kind of stuff is completely invaluable. So even from, a viewpoint of, wow, I got to see the really beautiful, pretty side of the design world when I went over there. It was also going over there and going, wow, I'm actually seeing so much of the production side of it and so much of the specification side of it. And I have learned so much.
Wow. Would you recommend the China direct sourcing?
Absolutely. And I already have to a few builders now, and to a few clients as well. Everybody seems a little bit apprehensive about it, but the way I look at it in Australia, we've got a problem with housing affordability at the moment, and a lot of the builders that I'm working with are wanting to really get involved with helping out with that housing affordability, kind of get in, build duplexes, kind of, build a little bit of housing that is still really, really high quality and really good quality, but bring that price down so it is accessible and it is affordable and that housing isn't a luxury. And they're the kind like those builders that I work with are like Blaire, like, let's get a warehouse. Let's just work with China Direct. Let's start ordering things. Let's start filling things up so we can start sourcing from overseas. And I think a lot of people were like me, a little bit hesitant and a little bit nervous, but all it takes is one person. All it takes is one person to be a little bit brave. And then yeah, people will start to follow. And like I said, I'm recommending it because I just can't speak highly enough of my experience.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. What would be the one word to describe the experience?
I'm going to give you two.
Okay.
um, Absolutely incredible because it's like incredible is not just enough, and that incredible encompasses in terms of actually getting to see China for the first time. It is, the level of, like I said, the professionalism, the level of quality, the level of, I guess, kind of like experience and exposure I got to, upcoming styles and trends and specification. So yeah, just like, yeah, I still can't wrap my mind around everything that I saw. I think it's going to still take a few more weeks for it to kind of like all like process through.
Wonderful, wonderful. What will be the final source for viewers?
The final source for viewers. Oh, I don't know. I just I really, really think you just need to take a chance and do this. If you're thinking about it, if you've kind of heard a few people or you're a little bit nervous about it, definitely go over there. I would recommend if you can get your interior designer to go over there with you. And if you can't get your designer to go over there with you, be super, super organized. Go in with the measurements of your windows, have a full set of architectural plans, have the design of your joinery pretty much done, have everything pretty much ready to go. And then if you still need something that's going to make you feel like you've really done your due diligence, get quotes for everything in Australia before you leave so you can compare your apples with your apples. Because then when you're over there and you realize that it's exactly the same product, the same finishes, all of that kind of stuff, then all you'll need to do is go, great, I can copy this directly over and compare the two. Definitely worth it. It's just so worth it. But if you can get a designer or an architect to go over there with you, it will just help you immensely.
Wonderful. Thank you very much, Blair. If we have
My
customer
pleasure.
want to use you, and would you like to go China with them again?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I would be so happy to go.
Wonderful.
Absolutely. I would be happy to go again.